Hello, my name is Jason Tinsvold. I work with Tinsvold Fire Protection, and we installed the sprinkler system in this building. It is a double action interlocking valve, and I'll take you around and show you some of the system and explain to you what we did. And it is a double interlock pre-action system with a deluge valve. This riser here is the one that is going to be in operation. This one here is going to be for the next phase of the hotel. So this one here is just kind of sitting idle until that portion of the project is completed. So on our valve here, this is our water pressure, and this is our air pressure, and this is also our water pressure. So because this is a double action valve, there is a bladder inside of this valve here that, with this priming water, it expands the bladder and seals the valve off from this check valve, and above the check valve is air. So the whole system right now is filled with about 13 pounds of air pressure, and because this is a double action valve, there's two things that have to happen in order for this system to trip and fill the piping up with water. The first thing is this manual pull station. If this was opened like this and the handle pulled down, that is one portion of it, and the other portion is the low air. There is a solenoid over here that has to open in order to relieve pressure from the diaphragm to let water into the system. All of these are control valves, and these shut the water off to the main supply line. And as you can see, that there's four of them. There's this one, which controls this riser. This one controls this riser, and these two over here at the backflow. And by shutting any one of these valves, it shuts water off to the sprinkler system. So if there was water in the system and water coming out of a sprinkler head, by shutting this valve would shut off all of the water coming into the system and not let any more water come out the sprinkler head. In the back here we have a series of drains, and this would be a main drain, and this is draining at the check valve. This main drain down here is below the check valve. So by opening up this main drain, it would be letting air out of the system right now, and by opening this main drain, it would be letting water out of the system right now. There's several things that go into setting the system up, and if the system was empty right now, the first thing we would do would be to open this valve and add pressure to the diaphragm. We would fill the system up with air pressure, and the air pressure, there's a check valve in here which won't let the air down past the check valve. And so once we have air pressure in it, our diaphragm is open, then we can open the main control valve as well as the drain. And once we have water flowing through the drain, we can slowly close the main drain, and then we will start building pressure. And right now we're at about 115 pounds of water pressure. And once we get our pressure up to the pressure that it's going to stay at, which is 115, we can completely shut the main drain, and the system would be set up for operation. Over here I have floor plans listing where the drum drips are located, and in this building there's 5 drum drips. And a drum drip basically is where the sprinkler piping holds water and it won't naturally drain. The system is set up as a dry system, so all of the piping is graded so it will all drain back to the riser. But there's certain places in the building where that couldn't happen, so we had to add these drum drips. And what they do is they collect water, and by opening the drum drip, you can let the water out without letting any air out of the system while the system is in operation. So right now we can go through the building and I'll show you where those drum drips are and show you how they operate. So these are the drum drips. They are all labeled with these auxiliary drains. And the way that these drum drips work is the top valve is always open. The bottom valve is always shut. In an instance where the system had been tripped and full of water, the only way to get water out of this particular piping right here that is all trapped would be to shut this valve, which would not let any more air or water out of the system, and then open this valve. And you can see we got a little bit of water out of there. And so we will continually do that back and forth until we do not get any water out of there. And it's a good idea to do it several times after a system has been tripped to make sure that there's no water still trapped in this air line right here. So once you got all the water out, then you can go ahead and shut this and open up this valve, and it will let water drain down into this larger diameter pipe size here. And that's it as far as the drum drips go. This is the only drum drip that's located outside, and it's located right outside of the gift shop. And all these drum drips are the same. They might have different valves on them, but this one here, this valve is open and this valve is shut. And it also has a 1-inch plug in the bottom of it, just in case somebody can't come by and open these valves and let all the air out of the system. But when you go to get rid of the water into this area here, you would go ahead and shut this valve and open this valve, and it would let any water that was trapped in here escape. And you might have to do that several times. And then this valve is always shut and this valve is always left open. And that's it on the drum drip outside. Okay, there's 2 drum drips in this location, and we're located right off the back of the elevator. In this room here, there's a drum drip located along this wall here. And there's another drum drip located off of this wall here. And then there is also another drum drip located above the map room in the attic. And like I said, all of the drum drip locations are marked on the floor plans on the wall next to the riser. So that's where they can be found.